What's up guys, I'm Taylor with TK Disc Golf and we are back with another glow comparison video. This is our second year in a row doing this video and we do things a little bit differently than some videos you'll see online. We actually use a real light meter that measures a unit of measure called lux, and it'll tell you the brightness of an object or a light source, allowing us to give actual scientific data of how bright a disc is compared to other brands. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Now before we dive into the data, I have to give a big shout out to Daddy Disc Golf, because without them this video really wouldn't have been possible, and I seriously mean that, because to purchase this many glow discs out of my own pocket would have been absolutely insane, and they were gracious enough to loan us a nice stack of discs to do these tests on. So thank you for loaning these to us, Josh and Casey. We really appreciate it. I've got a link to their website in the description, so be sure to check out their glow inventory. They've got a ton of stuff that's super cool in stock for you. Now for those of you that missed last year's glow comparison, we're pretty much doing this one the exact same way, but to give you a quick recap, this light meter measures in a unit of measure called lux. That's basically how you measure the brightness of an object or a light source in a room, but we're using the meter to actually measure the brightness of the disc. So I put the light sensor on the edge of the disc where it's brightest, and inside of my dark closet it blocks out any ambient light, and it just gets a true reading of how bright the disc is. We're taking measurements at 10 seconds for the initial brightness, and then 30 seconds, a minute, and then every 30 seconds all the way up until the 10-minute mark. And with all that data collected, I'm able to plot it all into line graphs that show a really cool representation of all the different brands across time. Now let's introduce the brands that we're going to be looking at today. I want to make sure that every single one of these came from the 2023 year to give a fair representation of what these brands are actually looking like. So first off, we've got a Hex that I just picked up. It's got the standard Glow 2.0 rim, and then we've got the Simon Lizotte Halloween stamp, which is super cool because they actually have different variations of their glow colors this year. We've got the aqua with a green rim on this one, as long as the Glow 2.0 lift from this year. And then MVP is also doing a R2 recycled core with the glow overmold this year that they've done a few runs with, and it looks super cool. So it'll be interesting to see how bright that is compared to the rest of it. Moving on to other brands besides the Gyro World, we've got Lone Star with their Mad Cat Halloween stamp, like a cool slasher cat guy. The Buzz Halloween stamp, awesome artwork there. The Discmania Open, I don't know what putter this is, but it is from Discmania. We've got a Glow Falk from Costaplast, super cool artwork from Mint Discs on this UFO, and then wrapping it up, we've got a Glow Destroyer. Now moving on to the moment we've all been waiting for, the data. And unfortunately, I forgot to take a screenshot of all the data once I imported it into Excel, so you're gonna have to bear with me on just these handwritten scratch notes that I've got here. If you want to pause the video and take a look at the numbers, you can, but I'm gonna quickly just move on to the graphs that I've put together. Starting off with the first one, this is just a standard line graph with lux, the unit of measure, on the left, and then time on the bottom, and it's got all the brands here. You can easily see that MVP Green starts off the brightest, but then MVP Aqua eventually switches spots with it, and they stay neck and neck throughout the rest of the graph. Discmania and Discraft, I've got to give a big shout out to them just because they actually improved their grow quite a bit over last year. Later on in the video I'll show a comparison, and it's really going to blow your mind. They actually did a great job improving their glow. Followed up by that, Lone Star is quickly behind them. Costaplast is decent. Also, MVP R2, for me, no surprise, was towards the bottom, just because the glow initial brightness is good, but there's just not a lot of glow material in that rim to stay bright over time. But to be honest, it's plenty of glow for you. And Innova rounding out the bottom, it's still not the best stuff. Even when I wasn't with MVP back in the day, Innova glow was just never that great, and it just lasts like a couple minutes and then it's done. Now this next chart is just the same information put into a logarithmic scale. It makes it a little bit easier to differentiate between the different lines, and then once it obviously hits a 0 on the chart, it drops off, so it shows where they stop. And obviously if the light meter is saying 0, that doesn't mean you can't see the disc. It's just the disc is no longer bright enough for the light meter to actually pick up any reading. Now something super cool we were able to do this year is actually compare 2 years worth of data and throw them on the same line charts to get some cool year-by-year comparisons. I'm not going to spend too much time on these. If you want to pause to take a look at each chart in depth, go for it. But starting off with MVP, the ones we've got on here is MVP Green was that Glow Hex from 2023. The MVP Aqua was that Simon Lizotte Hex. The R2 was obviously the recycled core with the glow rim that's new to this year. And then the two that you can compare from year to year was the two lifts that I had. The one lift was from this year that I had purchased, and then the one was from last year that I had acquired last year. So that's a cool comparison. They're pretty much neck and neck. This year's measured a little bit brighter, but they're so close close. It's hard to say that this year got brighter or anything like that. Next, we'll take a look at Lone Star year over year, and this year's is actually a smidge brighter than last year, so good improvement. But again, they're so neck and neck, it's hard to say that they really improved or if it was just variance in measurements. Obviously, I'm not a scientist. I'm not measuring these things 10 times in a row and taking an average. This isn't a college level science project. This is just a hobby that I took a few hours to put together. Moving on, we've got the Costa Plast year over year, pretty much neck and neck, not much improvement. I remember back in the day, like 2020, 2021, Costa Plast was like right on par with MVP's Glow 2.0, and it was super awesome stuff. Something happened. I don't really know what it was, and that stuff just lasts like 10 minutes or so, and then it's kind of done. Discmania Glow, I'm actually really impressed with their improvement. You can see quite a bit of difference compared to last year. A lot higher readings, great improvement, and was actually not bottoming out, hitting zeros like it did last year around the 8-minute mark. This also, Discraft, great improvement as well. That Glow Buzz, as soon as I lit it up, I was like, wow, this stuff actually looks really good, and didn't disappoint. It lasts quite a long time. The numbers are quite good compared to last year. Like I said, around that 7-minute mark was kind of where the numbers hit flat zero, and by the 10-minute mark this year, they weren't even close to zero. They were still around like that 0.4 mark or so. And lastly, Innova's Glow. It's sad for Innova fans out there that want to be able to throw Glow plastic with their favorite brand, because it's not very good. You're gonna have to get some Glow tape or Glow duct tape or something, because as soon as you throw this disc, you're gonna have to run to go get it, because it fades so stinking fast. Like it's kind of sad. Innova, really, you need to step it up. And before we wrap up, it's not a Glow comparison if we at least don't take some pictures of the discs over time, starting off with initial brightness, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then 45 minutes. It really shows a good example of what the visual eye is seeing as time goes on. Initial brightness, everything looks pretty good, but by that 5-minute mark, you can tell that some brands are starting to fade while other ones are holding on pretty well. I will say the 45-minute mark, I got the light meter out just to see if any discs were still reading with a lux rating, and 3 of the MVP ones, the Glow Hex, the Total Eclipse Hex, and then the Lift, all were still reading a 0.1 on the meter. Everything else was flat 0.0 at that point in time. But overall, I'm impressed with the stats we were able to collect today, showing all these brands and how well they last with their Glow technology. If you want to see more Glow videos like this in the future, be sure to drop a comment down below if you liked it. I really want to make this an annual tradition to show all the brands out there how they're doing in the marketplace. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.